This sport is sponsored by Park Whiz. Padres took 2 of 3 over the weekend against the Chicago White Sox. They'll be back from Petco tonight against the top team in the NL. The Milwaukee Brewers are bringing a record of 95-61. That game is going at 640. Padres currently minus 120 on the money line. Freddie Peralta will be going for the Brewers, while Nick Pivetta will be going for the Pods. And SDSU put a beat down on Cal, 34-0 over the weekend. The big Monday Night Football matchup. Detroit going up against Baltimore. The Ravens are currently favored by 4.5 points. Parking shouldn't slow you down. Parker Whiz gives driver a shortcut. Book ahead, save up to 50%, and skip the hassle of circling the block. Park smarter, park faster. Park Whiz. Download the Park Whiz app today and save every time you park.
I'm Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long.
Well, don't keep us in suspense any longer. Show us what you got.
What a difference 2 weeks can make.
And Raphael loses the football. Aztecs have it. It's McDougal down the sideline. Touchdown Aztecs.
A shutout at Snapdragon for the Aztecs. The Padres finish up in Chicago with some momentum.
To lead it off. Driven a deep left field. And it's back. Robertson looking up and it's gone.
And week 4 of the NFL.
It's down. The kick is on the way. And it is good. Eddie Pinheiro wins it for the 49ers.
Right, pump fakes right. Throws up for the end zone, and the pass is caught. Tyquan Thornton, touchdown. Kansas City.
Just when you thought you had figured it out.
Kick is on the way. Kick is good. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 3-0.
Pittman Jr. inside the 5. Looking for the end zone. He's in. Touchdown INTY.
Takes the snap, looking, scanning, now running right. Gonna throw back in the end zone. DJ Moore. Touchdown Bears.
Can we squeeze it all in?
That's what she said.
Let's find out as we head into the studios of San Diego Sports 760 and into the Fletch Zone.
I was a little early on that. Sorry about it. San Diego Sports 760. It is the Fletch Zone. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. We have an absolutely loaded show. We got no time to waste. Padres can clinch a postseason spot tonight. They can still actually improve their postseason spot if they have a really great next week and the Cubs have a really bad next week. We'll see if that can happen. San Diego State absolutely dismantles and destroys the Cal Golden Bears 34-0, a victory at Snapdragon Stadium in front of a pretty full house that absolutely had an impact. Sammy and I, we advance in Circus Survivor. No big deal. Little dirt off our shoulders. 3,000 people got the axe this week. About 13,000 people remain. So that means Sammy and I have a 1 in 13,000 chance at becoming millionaires, and this show will never be the same.
I'm sorry if you were one of those people that lost, but it's time for Fletch and I to become millionaires. So it had to happen eventually. I'm glad you broke your hearts early.
The NFL scriptwriters in week 3, man, they were absolutely on one. They got a little heavy and a little predictable with all the blocked field goals, but here's what went down. Eagles on the verge of losing to the Rams. Blocked field goal. Jalen Carter takes it back to the house. Packers look like they're about to escape Cleveland with a win and a perfect record intact. Blocked field goal. And then the Jets are about to complete a miraculous comeback. Blocked field goal. It was insanity. And then the scriptwriters couldn't even save the Jets. They ended up losing that game on a final second field goal from the Bucs. But it was an insane week 3. That's all the Kansas City Chiefs get their first win. That's all the San Francisco 49ers potentially flush their entire season down the drain as Nick Bosa has a torn ACL. No, I'm not okay. I don't want to talk about it.
619 is not being kind to you on the text line this morning.
I don't care. 619, I don't want to hear about it.
619 says Fletch has a better chance of growing hair like Sammy's than the Niners have winning the Super Bowl.
Here's the thing. We're just going to move on, and we're going to be okay with that. Maybe the Saints are going to put up a fire sale, and Cam Jordan can come over to the San Francisco 49ers and help out. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, it's a rough day here. But, Sammy, congratulations. The Chiefs finally get a win. That was Sunday Night Football last night. Not worth spending a ton of time on. It wasn't much of a game. The Chiefs win that thing kind of going away. But, man, oh, man, did the Cowboys make Russell Wilson look really good, and did the Cowboys not look really, really bad today? They get throttled by the Chicago Bears, who haven't really been able to do anything so far. And you look back a week ago, and the Cowboys defense made Russell Wilson look like he was back to being Hall of Fame prime Russell Wilson, who was winning Super Bowls with the Seahawks. Cowboys have some serious, serious question marks right now on them. And I think they are becoming what we thought they were, Sammy, which is not a very good team, maybe even a third place team in their division.
it's hard for me to decimate the Cowboys today because losing CeeDee Lamb had a major impact on that game yesterday.
CeeDee Lamb has nothing to do with the defense.
Well, no, that's real. The defense is abysmal, but we knew the defense was going to be abysmal. That's what happens when you trade Micah Parsons. Anyone who believes Jerry Jones when Jerry Jones is talking about how the defense is going to be better with Kenny Clark there and not Micah Parsons is delusional. Like I'm sorry, it's just that was a bold-faced lie to the media. Now the offense is what the thing is built around. It's built around Dak Prescott, the two receivers. They finally have our number two in George Pickens. George Pickens had a big turnover there late, not catching the ball, and then CeeDee Lamb going down. Yeah, I expect him to come out and play against. Obviously, Sunday Night Football is going to be fantastic with Micah Parsons, the Packers return to Dallas. But yeah, Dallas, that defense that wasn't good week 1 against the Eagles, but was feisty and had some like moments where you're like, okay, they're not horrible. They made Caleb Williams. They might have saved Caleb Williams' career in Chicago after yesterday.
It really was crazy. They had nothing for Caleb Williams and the Bears, and that trick play in the first half, I saw it coming. I don't know how Dallas didn't see it coming with the flea flicker that they ran. It was pretty putrid effort from the Cowboys. So sorry to all the Cowboys fans who are in our audience. We know there's a lot of you. It looks like yesterday was all you need to know about this Dallas Cowboys team. All right, let's get to the big three a little early today. We got a lot to get to, man. Big Rich is going to join the show coming up at 12:30. Talk about that Aztecs win. Talk about week 3 in the NFL. Sammy and I are going to be kind of discussing all week, but we need a lock for week 4. We cannot have made it this far and then get knocked out by something silly for Circa Survivor. But Sammy, let's get to the big 3. Go ahead, smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big 3.
All right, if you want to watch the show, a couple ways for you to do it. You can watch us on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760 and on X at Fletch and Sammy. That stream is up and going. Welcome to the party on a Monday. Sammy, where are we starting today?
Start those Aztecs 34-0 over Cal. 2 defensive touchdowns for the defensive unit. What was the number one takeaway you had from the Aztecs as they head into take on Northern Illinois next week?
76-0 at Snapdragon Stadium so far this year. That's the biggest takeaway. The defense has not allowed a single point at Snapdragon Stadium. The defense was on fire. They won that game. The offense did enough, man, to make me feel a little bit better. I also take away this. I talked to Sean Lewis immediately following the game, and he was on our Aztecs wrap-up show, which is after every single game. But Sean Lewis, when he was talking about Jordan Napier, said leaving Washington State, Jordan Napier was the most pissed off player, and Jordan Napier set the tone all 14 days leading up to Cal in practices and walkthroughs and film study, and he made sure there was no nonsense going on the entire 2 weeks leading up to Cal. Jordan Napier goes out, has 154 receiving yards, was actually, by some metrics, the top wide receiver in the country this weekend. Number one, I can't remember whose poll it was, but he was number 1 in it. And Jordan Napier set the tone in that game. And in the fourth quarter, when it's closeout time, when it's you just need to stack up some first downs to really waste out the clock, it was Jordan Napier who was getting the ball. I love that game for San Diego State. By the way, that 34-point win was the largest margin of victory by a San Diego State team against a power program team in school history. San Diego State has now shut an opponent out twice in a row at home for the first time since 1975. Just an incredible night for San Diego State.
Denigo was super efficient. You saw that talent there that he had at Michigan. And to what you were just kind of getting into, the highlight reel plays, the defensive touchdown, those are fantastic. But can you count on those every week? No. What you saw the Aztecs able to do was close it out. Lucky Sutton get the touchdown there at the end. Was able to grind the clock out, never allowed this Cal team to really get any life there in the second half when they have been able to score points earlier on in the season. So big win for the Aztecs, heading to Northern Illinois next week. This is a team, the Aztecs currently 2.5-point favorites. This is a team that did go in and beat Notre Dame last year, 16-14. The offense is not great, but the defense is legit. Love to see Denigo and them improve on all that. And just exciting atmosphere at Snapdragon.
It was huge.
You could see it on TV. Like it was the vibes were high, and you could tell the players really fed off that. And it was fun to see San Diego State really have a big time offensive performance.
Look, I've been at every single game of the Snapdragon era, either in the parking lot before the game or in attendance at the game. That was the most full it had been for a San Diego State Aztecs football game. And it just kind of shows you, by the way, in the first half, 2 separate false start penalties back-to-back on Cal that led to the missed field goal in the first half. The crowd makes a difference, man. So 2 weeks from now on a Friday, when San Diego State opens up conference play against Colorado State, let's fill that thing up again, because I'd say it was nice seeing the Aztecs with a true home field advantage. All right, what's next? Sammy?
Completely. We're heading to the NFL. Rams, close loss to the Eagles on the block kick. I am sorry if you had Rams plus 3.5 and Jordan Davis return that kick for you. My heart goes out to you. But the Packers lose to the Browns, so they were the big NFC favorite before. Are the Rams still the biggest favorite to the Eagles despite the loss on Sunday?
The biggest threat against the Eagles? I would say yes, especially with the news that came out about Nick Bosa. The Rams do feel like the most complete roster in the NFC right now. And I tell you, like, the Eagles look vulnerable. And they looked vulnerable the entire day yesterday against the Rams. The Rams outplayed the Eagles in every facet of the word yesterday. And by the way, the refs still aren't calling false start on the tush push. But you look at the way the Rams played that game, they should have won. I think they did win the game in everything but final score. And it was a crazy blocked field goal that, sure, Jordan Davis can go to the podium postgame and say, yeah, you might think that's a fluky play, but we had that mapped out. We knew it was going to be a block before. No, you didn't. It's a field goal block. You can game plan as much as you want. There's certain things that sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. And the field goal block ends up winning the game for the Eagles. But, man, that felt like a Rams win to me.
I would say the Rams. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl before the season. I got to give credit to the Eagles first. The Eagles showed a lot being able to come back because, yeah, they are still not calling the false start on the tush push, but I will give the Eagles credit because
they finally threw the ball.
They finally threw the ball. And you see, that's what's so surprising. And I think even Eagles fans would admit this is no one's saying that the Eagles don't have talent. They have talent everywhere. It's odd when the tush push is the thing that it feels like they rely on to get to the place they need to be. And you're paying A.J. Brown all this money. You're paying Devontae Smith all this money. Dallas Goedert's there. I mean, there's tons of talent. Jalen Hurts can throw the football. It just doesn't have to a lot because usually it's built around Saquon Barkley in the tush push. So I got to give him credit for coming back in that game. But the Rams I think, are the clear favorite to them. They were able to go into Philly. I know they're 0-4 in their last 4 games against them. The Packers were, I'm not going to overreact. The Packers still a very good football team, but that Browns loss, I had concerns after the Washington game. I'm like, can Jordan Love, this is the through line for the Packers. Can Jordan Love go on the road and beat a Matthew Stafford, beat a Jalen Hurts, beat quarterbacks that I would put above him right now multiple times on the road? And
I think it depends on if Myles Garrett is on the other side of the defensive line.
Well, it's not. If it's the Lions, they're playing Aiden Hutchinson. If you're playing the Eagles got a great pass rush.
Myles Garrett is different from the rest of them. The performance he put out yesterday was one of the best defensive performances I've ever seen.
But if in Green Bay, there's alarm bells going off. Is not that Jordan Love's a bad quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. And I think with Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, Jalen Hurts, there's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFC. I don't know if I'm super confident right now that I can just rely. The defense has to pitch a shutout. That was a pretty bad performance against a sluggish Browns offense that somehow just kind of stayed in that game. It was able to win it, which was big for Circus Survivor, by the way. But I would certainly say the Rams are the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC.
By the way, maybe your best pick of the year so far was Saquon Barkley's under on his season total of rushing yards. Not to jinx it or anything, but he's only at what, like 194 through 3 games?
Saquon's a phenomenal player, but you just see that total was set so high before
46
the season.
yards yesterday.
Because of the season he had last year, that felt like a number that was prone to come back a little bit. All right, let's head a big AFC West battle. Broncos, Chargers. Chargers were able to get the win over the Broncos. How are you feeling about the Chargers right now? And then has Justin Herbert played his way into a top 5 quarterback in the NFL conversation right now?
Justin Herbert, since he started dating Madison Beer, his numbers are outrageous. He's been on fire. I look, man, especially with Burrow being down, I think, yeah, Justin Herbert has moved into that top 5 conversation. Jaden Daniels hasn't looked like the same guy as he was a year ago. Jalen Hurts is still right there.
That's the one that people are debating. Would you put Herbert or Hurts? Because Hurts has the jewelry.
Right. You take the tush push out of it, you have to take Herbert, but the tush push is still in it, and the refs still aren't calling it. Actually, they are calling it against other teams. They're calling false starts, just not against the Eagles. So look, it's right there, right? It's the 3 non-negotiables, which is Lamar, Allen, and
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, what the hell is your guys' name? Sorry, Patrick Mahomes. But then it's kind of a little bit of a cluster. But Herbert and Hurts both have to be in there, I think.
Got to give Justin Herbert a lot of love. Fletch, you and I have been on this for a long time. I've always felt like the Chiefs seeing him all the time. Justin Herbert's a fantastic player, and Harbaugh has unlocked something in Justin Herbert. He's just gotten much better. He used to kind of panic in the pocket, and he's not doing that now. He's stepping up. He's really kind of he's got underrated speed, Justin Herbert. He's able to extend a lot of plays, something he doesn't get enough credit for. Chargers playing good ball right now. Now, watching that game yesterday, the Broncos, man,
They should have won.
They should have won. And I hear a lot, like, I'm going to give the Chargers credit because they're 3-0 and they're finding ways to win close games. So all kudos to them. That's how the Chiefs made their hay last year. They won a bunch of one-score games, and people were like, the downfall's coming, Yesterday, my only pause with the Chargers is people are putting them way too high right now. The Khalil Mack injury is a big deal. You already lost Rashawn Slater for the year. Mekhi Becton, the right guard, got hurt again yesterday. Najee Harris got hurt. So now it all falls to Marion Hampton. There's a lot of injuries piling up for the Chargers, and it just feels like they're leaving. In all 3 games, they're 3-0 in the division. In all 3 games, they're leaving doors open for these teams. If Denver hits that deep shot to Cortland Sutton down the thing, I know ifs and buts. Talanoa Hufanga had that dumb penalty where he dropped Keenan Allen on the side.
Bo Nix missed 2 or 3 throws down the left side to Cortland Sutton that he was just maybe a foot or two too long.
So kudos to the Chargers. They're 3-0, but I really feel like I don't know if they're that much better than the rest of the pack. What we're hearing right now, that the Raiders were abysmal on passes past 10 yards. The Chiefs are missing their first couple top 2 wide receivers, and we're just awful in that game. So we'll see right now. I think the schedule will get tougher for the Chargers, but kudos to them and kudos to Justin Herbert for the way he's playing right now.
We had a hell of a game tonight as well. Ravens taking on the Lions. Going to be a lot of fun. We'll get into that in hour 2. Coming up next, let's get into these Padres. They got a chance to clinch a postseason spot tonight. Is there going to be champagne flowing at Petco Park? Let's talk about it next. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760 and iHeartRadio bring you the Global Citizen Festival 2025 live from New York City at Central Park's Great Lawn. Live performances from the weekend, Shakira, Tyla, and more, all hosted by Hugh Jackman. Tyla, Sammy's all over that. Join the movement to end extreme poverty now, one action at a time at globalcitizenfestival.com. Check out Global Citizen Radio all day on the iHeartRadio app and listen to Hit Nation Saturday at 7 o'clock. All right, Sammy, let's talk about these Padres. So tonight they have an opportunity against the Brewers to clinch a postseason spot. Now, I do think it's Nick Pivetta against the Brewers ace. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
So Nick Pivetta for the Padres tonight has an opportunity to be the closer, be that guy to send the Padres into the postseason on a good note. Now, they do have an opportunity with the Cubs kind of being in a free fall as of late to actually overtake the Cubs for that 4 seed.
That would be massive.
And flip that series to San Diego, which would be huge knowing the support that they've had at Petco Park this year, knowing the struggles that they've had on the road this year. But in order to do that, it would be a full 3-game swing. So we did the deep dive. The Padres do actually have the tiebreaker over the Cubs if the season finishes tied. But what would it have to be, Sammy? The Padres would have to win something like 5 of their next 6, 5 of their remaining 6.
They'd have to win. Let's say they go undefeated. They have to go 6-0, and the
Cubs would have to lose 3.
3-3. So
possible,
definitely possible. And then there's an outside shot in the division. 3 games back, really 4 games back. That feels like it's pretty much sailed. But hey, you never know. Maybe the Dodgers go to a little bit of a free fall this week. But the way they've been playing, I don't think so. This is a big week for the Padres, though, just because not only tonight could they clinch the postseason, that would be huge. That's what you've worked for all season long. But what have we been saying the last month? The only success they've had is really against the Rockies and then the White Sox. And Friday night was rough seeing from seats. It was nice seeing Michael King kind of get it going again yesterday. These are 2 legit teams. And I know the Brewers are the number 1 seed, or they've clinched at least a bye. So you wonder how much they have there, but they're still playing.
They're still throwing out their ace tonight. What's this guy's name?
And Peralta. But the best thing about the Brewers still, and I know some people are like, oh, I wish they weren't playing for anything. I'm actually glad that the Brewers are playing for something because they still want to pass the Phillies. So it all runs through Milwaukee as the 1 seed. This is a real opportunity for the Padres to show that they can do this against better competition. It's at home. You could get some real momentum. You're going to be playing Milwaukee and then Arizona, who's got an outside shot to get in the playoffs. They don't have a tiebreaker versus the Mets or the Reds, so it might be tricky for them. But the next 6 games before the playoffs, you're playing meaningful baseball against teams that are trying to win. And I think that's the best thing for the Padres right now because, again, we haven't seen them have success the last month besides the Rockies and the White Sox. And unfortunately, you're not going to be playing either of those teams in the postseason. I think there's a real opportunity to get some momentum going into the postseason where the Padres go, oh yeah, that is who we are. We have the bats. We are the Padres. We have had some success the last couple of years. Remind people who they are because you're just frankly not going to do that against the Chicago White Sox.
And all your remaining games are at home, which is huge for the Padres. Now the Cubs will be taking on the Mets in Chicago and then the Cardinals in Chicago. And you're big fans of the Mets and the Cardinals right now because if the Cubs somehow can flip 3 games back to the Padres, that would be huge to have Petco Park be the host site of that opening wild card round. I'll tell you my biggest takeaway from the weekend for the Padres is Fernando Tatis Jr. does look like he's coming into form at the perfect time for the Padres. In fact, his home run, I believe it was Saturday, maybe Sunday, I can't remember which day, but his home run, you could hear a Chicago White Sox fan screaming in the background saying, Fernando, I got a syringe for you. And then he blasts a home run. Like, that's good to see. Fernando getting a little bit of his swagger back. He's hitting with power. If Fernando Tatis Jr. is hitting with power and the starting pitching does enough, you feel pretty good about these Padres. But I don't know how good I feel about them on the road against the Cubs in the opening round.
So has King become the number 2 again?
No, it was against the White Sox. We warned everybody of this on Friday.
Because Cease was the guy that you pointed to as like, okay, if Michael King can't go, and it's a fair point that it's against the White Sox.
Look, King is your number 2, but out of necessity. I'm not looking at his performance over the White Sox and saying, oh my God, I feel great about Michael King.
Is there anything, because Cease that was disappointing against his former team. That was Friday night. That was like Dylan Cease. This was a prime opportunity against your former team, against a bad team to show out and then have a real discussion. We're all sitting here talking about should Cease be the number 2 starter because we know his stuff is some of the best on the staff. He just hasn't been able to get it together this year. Michael King, it's hard to get a read because that is against the White Sox. We're going to see him again against the Diamondbacks, which could be a very meaningful game. So we'll see if he has legit stuff going into next week. But I just like there's an ESPN article that came out today about how the Padres actually ranked as the 8th best starting pitching staff in the playoffs. which is kind of surprising to me. I actually thought it would be lower than that. They actually had him above the Cubs, who were 11, given the struggles kind of beyond Shota Imanaga and Matthew Boyd. They haven't had a clear ace yet, but this is a big week for the Padres in terms of to have some faith in the starting rotation going into next week, because you're going to have some elite pitching performances if you're going to Chicago, which they probably will be going to Chicago unless the Cubs are in absolute free fall in the next 7 days.
Now, as of right now, because of the Mets struggles, the Reds are technically in that 6 seed against the Dodgers in the opening round, playing in Los Angeles. Padres 5 seed going up against the Cubs in Chicago. Phillies 2 seed, Brewers 1 seed. That would set up a potential second round matchup with the Padres against the Brewers, which, guess what? Tonight, you get to see a preview of that potentially.
And I think I'm curious to see how the next 3 games go, because I think you would take the Brewers over the Phillies.
I for sure would. Even
though the Brewers have the dominant record, they faltered a little bit recently. You don't have the playoff experience. The Phillies feel like the team right now. If you had to pick one team you probably feel best about getting the World Series, it'd probably be the Phillies. The Dodgers starting rotation is really coming along, but the bullpen is an abject disaster, and they got beaten 2 or 3 games against the Phillies last week as well.
Good news is Brewers are currently 3 games over the Phillies. So most likely it's going to come down to the Brewers' final series of the season. Padres, you can win at will right now and feel safe that it's still going to be the Brewers in round 2. Man, this is when baseball gets fun. 6 days left on the Major League Baseball calendar. We have lived through the sludge that is the offseason.
Did you see the Cleveland Guardians, who were 15.5 games back in the beginning of July, are now tied for a wild card spot in the AL? The AL is a whole other thing.
Cleveland, I feel like in my lifetime, has done that 7 or 8 times.
It's what, and then the Seattle all of a sudden swept the Astros, so they look like they have a clinch on that division. And Seattle's got the Dodgers over the weekend. So if the Padres can make up a little hay in the next couple games, hey, who knows? Still a long shot, but who knows?
How about a Seattle sweep, a Padres sweep, and then see what happens in that final series? This is a fun time for baseball, man. All right, Big Rich is going to be joining us next. Rich Ornberger talking about that Aztecs win on Saturday night over the Cal Golden Bears, as well as NFL Week 3 at San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey, it's Fletch for my friend Gary Cooper, Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty. Gary Cooper is going to give you the best shot at buying a home here in 2025, or selling a home, or refinancing your mortgage. Call Gary today, 858-376-1299, or visit him online at mountaintrustmortgage.com. I'll tell you, a conversation with Gary, it really does wonders for you, no matter what headspace you're in thinking about buying or selling a home, because Gary just lays out factual information and does as much as possible to save you the most money as possible. He eliminates the smoke and the mirrors and the shell games when it comes to mortgages. That's what Gary does. He gives it to you straight. He's not going to talk you in through a winding maze of misinformation and crazy dialogue, trying to add some extra dollars onto your final bill that he can put in his pocket. Not a shot. Gary Cooper is going to make sure you are saving the most amount of money as possible, no matter what phase you're in your home buying process. You can call Gary Cooper today at 858-376-1299. Get straight mortgage answers by calling Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty. Again, that phone number, 858-376-1299, or visit them online at mountaintrustmortgage.com.
This sport is sponsored by Lexus El Cajon. Bring luxury home. Padres back tonight for a 3-game set against the Milwaukee Brewers. That'll be at 640. Padres currently minus 120 on the money line. Freddie Peralta will be going for the Brewers, while Nick Pivetta will be going for the Pods in the big Monday Night Football matchup of the week. Detroit heading into Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Detroit is currently a 4.5-point home or a road underdog. This fall, discover why Lexus El Cajon is #1 for customer service with unbeatable offers on new and pre-owned Lexus models in stock. You've got to visit LexusElCajon.com today. Bring luxury home from Lexus El Cajon.
San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. And now we have our buddy, Big Rich Ornberger, on the air with us today. San Diego State on Saturday night, if you missed it, put the beat down on the Cal Golden Bears. 34-0 was the final score. Rich Ornberger was on the call of that game. Rich, how did you feel about the Aztecs? First time shutting out a Power 5 team since 1975. It was Oregon State, by the way, last time. This time it was the Cal Golden Bears. How fun was that watching that game?
It was unbelievably fun. And good afternoon, guys. Man, what a weekend for San Diego. If you're paying attention to this Aztecs football team, you were thrilled with the outcome of the opener against Stony Brook. You were extremely concerned and disappointed after what you saw on the road against Washington State. But this team circled the wagons after the bye week, and they absolutely took it to the Cal Bears. That was, from wire to wire, about as dominant a performance as I've ever seen from an Aztecs football team. And I've been on the call with this team for nearly a decade. So that's about as impressive of a win as a program could have, especially when you go back and you look at, the line on this game had the Aztecs as 14+ point dogs going into this matchup. It was the biggest upset of the weekend in college football.
How have you seen the improvement of Jaden Denegal through the first 3 weeks?
So Jaden, he's a passer who can touch anywhere on the field. We've talked about that on the show before. But what I'm seeing is more composure. And now I have a small sample size, and we all have a small sample size with Jaden Denegal. He hasn't played a lot of football yet at the college level. He's still very inexperienced. However, what I'm seeing is growth. In the first game, obviously, they came out the box against less talented players, let's be honest with each other, when you're going against an FCS opponent, and they took care of business, and Jaden looked really good. Then against slightly better athletes on the road, hostile environment, something happened. There was a shift. You could see it. There were throws that he wished he could have back as soon as they left his fingertips. He was sailing the football. He was putting too much mustard on the football. He wasn't in rhythm with his receivers. And some of that rhythm takes time. And also, to make another excuse for him, he's been dealing with somewhat of an injury left over from the first game against Stony Brook when he took that awkward fall within 2 snaps of the start of the football game. So I think with a little bit more health and a little bit more experience and play under his belt, he's really calmed down. And you saw what a calm, composed Jaden Denegal can do to a passing defense that was really giving certain offenses fits heading into this one.
Big Rich Ornberger on with us. We were talking some Aztecs there. Let's talk some NFL, Rich, because the Cowboys, I think, got a little bit embarrassed yesterday by the Chicago Bears. And I think that we've now seen over the course of 2 weeks, Russell Wilson absolutely dominated Cowboys offense or defense and then look like normal Russ, who we've expected over the last couple of years this week against the Chiefs. We see Caleb Williams really struggle through his first couple of weeks and then absolutely dominate the Cowboys defense. We know CeeDee Lamb's going to be out for a little bit. But how much of a problem is this Dallas Cowboys defense for the future of this season?
Look, I would say, just to talk about the Bears and Ben Johnson and what Caleb Williams has done through the course of the season he looks like a completely different quarterback. And I think that Ben Johnson becoming the head coach, but also the whisperer on the headset there for Caleb Williams is a big reason why we saw the performance we saw against Dallas. I would say, leaning into the tight ends and really exploiting the middle of the defense against the Cowboys, but also highlighting their rookie, Luther Burden Jr., his first 100-yard receiving game as a pro and throwing 4 touchdowns. I mean, this really felt like they unlocked something. As far as the Cowboys go moving forward, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but their pass defense is the new problem. You know what I mean? Like it's like every week it's like playing a whack-a-mole game with the Cowboys. Something else emerges, but their big play prevention had completely failed them. They're not getting any pressure on Caleb Williams. He was standing back in the pocket, patting the football, waiting for somebody to come open. And I mean, the backbreaker was that 19-play drive in the third quarter. They just couldn't get off the field. Every single opportunity they had, and there were a couple opportunities, they could not cash in. The Cowboys got a lot of problems moving forward.
Kind of big shakeup in the NFC on the other side. Green Bay loses that to Cleveland. Rams loses that heartbreaker to Philly. Do you think Philly's in a class by themselves, or do you think the Rams or Green Bay or Lions have a shot at them?
I think there's a lot more parity in the NFC than there was last year. I think the Philadelphia Eagles look very mortal. I think the Detroit Lions look mortal. And like you said, Green Bay Packers, they were rolling up until this weekend. That loss to Cleveland. Look, Cleveland's a tough team. I give a lot of credit to the way they play football. And I think Kevin Stefanski doesn't get his due as a really talented head coach, but still, Green Bay was looking like a potential Super Bowl team, and now that last loss has you scratching your head a little bit. There are some real great AFC teams. Like I feel strongly about the Bills. I feel strongly about the Ravens, who we'll see tonight. I don't feel as strongly about any of these NFC teams. So, the chaff hasn't separated from the wheat, so to speak. The cream hasn't rose to the top yet. I think. In my mind, it's kind of bunched up at the top between a bunch of those teams that you mentioned: Detroit, Philly, Green Bay. When Daniels gets back, maybe we can include the Commanders in that conversation. But I mean, he's what makes that offense really click.
All right, the Detroit Lions taking on the Baltimore Ravens tonight in Baltimore. Rich, we've seen one of each from the Detroit Lions. We saw a stinker and we saw an outstanding performance. Baltimore's been good. They just lost week 1 to a better team in Buffalo, who was the better team that night. Not saying they're the better team always, but tonight's game, are we going to be able to see Detroit do something in Baltimore, or is this home field advantage? Baltimore Ravens, one of the best teams in football. Are they going to pretty much handle the Lions?
Anytime you're facing a Dan Campbell team, you have a hard, long night ahead of you, and he gets his guys revved up and fired up for prime time, but anytime. So this is going to be a fist fight. I promise you, if I'm Dan Campbell, and I think I know his style of coaching by now, what I'm telling my troops, what I'm telling my guys is we are going to live and die one play at a time. We're not going to allow them to have momentum. We are going to fight, with everything we have on every single down, because that's all you have promised to you. And so I think if they're going to operate offensively, it's not going to be taking deep shots down the field. It's going to be methodical approach. They're going to use the passing game like a run game. They're obviously going to lean on their running backs. They're going to try to play keep away from this high-powered Baltimore offense. And likewise, defensively, the only way you can beat a quarterback as dynamic as Lamar Jackson is play with the lead and force him into situations where he has to stay in the pocket and throw the ball around the yard on you. If you can get him into that situation, he will throw the football to you. So count on that. If Detroit can get an early lead, they're going to try to play keep away. They're going to try to run the ball or use the short passing game. And when they do that, and they know that the Ravens have to pass to catch up with them, they're going to bracket the pass rush. They're not going to try to sack him. They're going to try to keep him in the pocket and having him try to find the open receiver. If they're able to do that, they can escape Baltimore with a win, but it will be escaping with a win because I really think that Baltimore is a more talented team.
Now, Rich, we've had a pretty cool 2025, man. We got to go introduce Creed on stage. That was badass. You got to go out to Penn State and kind of introduce the Nittany Lions for a game just a couple weeks ago in front of 110,000 people. I honestly think maybe the coolest moment of your 2025 happened yesterday on the air. You got to basically deliver the news to Steve Hartman that he's going to be inducted into the Southern California Broadcaster Association's Hall of Fame, which you and I, we know that means a lot to Steve. How cool was that for you getting to do that yesterday?
Yeah, it meant a whole lot. It meant a lot to me personally, and I'll speak on that for a moment. Steve and I have worked together on the radio for nearly a decade. I just recently stepped away from our Sunday show that we had done nationally on Fox Sports Radio for half a decade, and we worked locally before that on the Loose Cannons. So as his longest running on-air partner since the passing of the late Chet Forty, I was honored that I was even asked to do this. So that's first and foremost, because I think a lot of Steve as a professional, but also as a friend. And so to be able to, sort of give him a little bit of love on air before Pete Arbogast was the president of the Southern California Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame, came on the air on Fox Sports Radio yesterday and presented him the honor of being nominated to the 2026 class. It was surreal. It really was. And I'm proud of him, and I'm thrilled for him, and I can't wait until January 13th when he is lionized in a Hall of Fame that I know means a lot to him, that I don't think he thought that he'd ever be inducted to. And so, what an honor, and truly what a privilege it is to have worked with him for as long as I was able to. And this isn't just a win for Steve; it's a win for Southern California, and especially for San Diego, a place where he called home for the majority of his broadcast career.
Now, is there going to be like a celebration or a party? Because I did work with Steve for about 2.5 years. So I'm wondering if we get a table at this celebration, do you think?
Well, apparently it's free to the public to go out there and celebrate along with the inductees. So if we want to tailgate on January 13th at the induction ceremony, I mean, we may have to go out there. It's an afternoon event. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a liquid lunch and make our way into the hallway there. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of feel like we should do that. Like you, TD, me, we'll put Sammy in there too. We'll all just have like Steve written out on our chests and then unveil the beautiful mosaic of blue paint all over us and just have Steve and be kind of annoying fans.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Cool. Yeah, I will. I'll take 3 letters. You and TD take 2. And I think Sammy, you could be our exclamation point.
That makes sense.
I'll cap it off at the end there.
Rich, thank you, man. And that was really cool. By the way, it's on your Instagram, right? You kind of surprising Steve.
Yeah. It's up at Rich Ornberger on Instagram if you want to take a look at it. It happened yesterday on Fox Sports Radio, and a rare opportunity to catch Steve a little misty-eyed. Yeah. I think he cried a little bit.
Yeah, we've maybe seen Steve emotional once or twice in my career, and yesterday was one of them. That was a really cool moment. Thanks, man. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you got it, Fletch. Thanks, Sandy. Catch you guys later.
Rich Ornberger, you hear him every morning, 6 to 10 a.m., 101.5 KGB, alongside Travis Dale, myself, and Kat Fisher. You can catch up with us there if you're missing the sound of Big Rich's voice. Sammy, have you seen that video?
No, I bummed. It's the first time I heard about this. I got to go look at this right now.
I didn't know about it until like 4 a.m. this morning when I was scrolling through Instagram. And Steve does get a little emotional. And you could tell, like, Steve Hartman, he'll play surprised sometimes, and he's not actually surprised. This was real, authentic backpedaling. What the hell is happening right now? And it means a lot to him, man. So congratulations to Steve. One of my favorite people on this planet, bar none. One of my favorite people I've ever worked with, bar none. Steve Hartman is a gem, and he deserves this more than just about anybody. All right, we got long shots on the other side. Bijan Robinson screwed up the weekend because he was just good.
Yeah, I mean, like, what are we? He 5 yards over. I mean, like, what, 2 yards over, something like that.
I'm not going to doubt Sammy again. He's about to cook up a monster for tonight. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. We got a ton of texts coming into the show today. We will get to all of those. But over on YouTube, how about this? Our buddy Whiskey Bent saying Aztecs game was off the charts on Saturday. So fun to see those Cal fans heading for the exits early. Thank you for the tickets. So
yeah,
JR Tolver and I do the pregame show for the Aztecs broadcast out in the tailgating lot. It's the yellow lot, I think, right next to the Riverwalk block party. Lots of Cal fans coming up to the booth, talking some S, man. And JR Tolver is a massive human being who likes to roam a little bit during commercial breaks. And he was getting into it with a couple people. JR Tolver was also the thrower for a game of 3 Flies Up that popped up between a bunch of 12-year-old kids. But lots of Cal fans talking a lot of smack, saying that Cal's going to cover the spread easy.
Well,
the Aztecs covered the spread by, 48 points? Is that right?
The West was crazy. I remember watching Scott Van Pelt on Thursday night, and he was saying how he thought that San Diego State was a good play on the spread because it had been bet up. It was 13.5 at open. They bet up to 14.5. So you're giving the Aztecs 2 touchdowns at home, and then to beat them by 34 points. So what is that? A 48-point swing on the spread. So shout out to the Aztecs. It's good to see the boys get after it a little bit. Excited to see what they can do against Northern Illinois next week.
All right, let's get to some of these texts before we get to long shots. 619, Fletch has a better chance of growing hair like Sammy than the Niners winning the Super Bowl. Thank you, 619.
Shout out to 619.
Appreciate that. Nick Bosa is out for season if you missed it. 858, as the unofficial Saints general manager, I'll trade Fletch and the 49ers. Carl Granderson in a 5th round pick for a 3rd rounder next year and a future 4th. P.S. My mom was friends with John Lynch at Torrey Pines High School, so I might actually have some pull in this trade.
Hey, 858 getting things done.
747, why are the refs still letting Philly cheat? Do they not understand there's cameras in 2025 and WTF is up with the Rams kicker? If both lines jumped in the air, the ball would have gone underneath them. You can't make a field goal if the ball doesn't reach 3 feet in the air.
That was crazy how low he was kicking those.
It was low, man. 858, you guys are so wrong. Listen to Cowherd. The Chargers are better than the 27 Yankees. Greatest team in history. Why are we even playing a season? Colin loves himself some Chargers, man.
858 said playing right above it.
949, Rich, can you do the scream for old time's sake? Yeah, woo, Bronco Nagurski would be proud of that scream. Bronco Nagurski, for those of you that don't know, not only was a Denver Broncos player way back in the day, he was also the name of Rich's frog growing up, his pet frog. And Rich did used to scream a lot when we were doing the sports show.
Frog?
Love that frog. His mom accidentally killed it too. All right, let's.
Would she flush it down the toilet or something and tell Rich that it was coming back?
Rich was like going to Penn State for a visit or something, and she forgot to feed it, and it just dried up. All right, Sammy, let's get to long shots. Go ahead and smash it.
Peep the new imaging, guys.
You looking for some luck? Want to win big? Gotta play big.
You are so money, and you don't even know it.
Time to take a chance.
Hey, that's me and his man.
With long shots.
Did you just say peep the new imaging?
Peep the new imaging. CJ.
Our
imaging guy is the greatest.
I think Jim Russell likes to say the word peep. All right, let's get to long shots, Sammy.
Jim Russell likes to say the word peep?
Yeah, and he likes to do those like eyeball emojis on X.
Jim is on Twitter a lot.
Oh yeah,
he's like I kind of like to the point where I kind of worry about him. Like he's on it a lot.
Professional troll.
I would love to see Jim's screen time. You know, on Apple, you get those screen time notifications.
It's got to be a lot. I don't know. My screen time is just all dedicated to Prize Picks. It really is. You can download the app, use promo code Fletch, get a $50 bonus after you play your first $5 entry. Sammy, this could be the first $5 entry.
Yeah, we got a 3-game same game parlay for tonight for Baltimore and Detroit. Should be a fun one in Baltimore. Baltimore favored by 4.5. This game's got a lot on it though, because Lamar is something like 24-4 when he faces NFC competition. In this past one, yeah, exactly. FedEx Trey, peep this winning lineup from Sammy.
Don't
you gotta get hit, bro.
Just say your lineup. I'll handle the comments.
All right, so this is a lot going on in this game. Detroit got blown out a couple years ago. We remember that game. They scored like 6 points. It was a real setback for Detroit in this. Baltimore and Lamar has a way of torching NFC opponents, but tonight I think it's gonna be a little bit different. I think the Lions play this game pretty well tonight. For the first Lions pick, Jahmyr Gibbs, 85.5 rush and receiving yards. We're gonna go more than Gibbs. I think they're gonna get the ball out of his hand easy. I thought about the over on receptions, but it's at 4 right now. I don't like that we don't have a hook. So we're gonna go 85.5 rush and reception yards. I think they're gonna try to run the ball, establish a run. Kyle Van Noy is out for the Ravens, one of their star linebackers, so I like that pick there. And I think we're going to get some easy dump-offs to Gibbs. I think he's going to have a big day on the ground and through the air. All right, Lamar Jackson, 46.5 rushing yards. We're going more than. I think he's going to have to get out of the pocket in this game. Dan Campbell, Aiden Hutchinson is going to get after him. Remember, this pass rush has been much better the last couple weeks after their top 4 pass rushers last year got hurt at one point in the season. So you had to feel bad for the Lions pass rush. They simply did not have their guys on the field. Lamar's going to have to get out of the pocket a little bit in this game and get it through the ground, because I think this Lions defense is coming for him a little bit. 46.5 rushing yards more than for Lamar Jackson. And then we're going to go with the kicker. We don't usually do kicker props. I think the Ravens are going to struggle a little bit in the red zone tonight. I just got this weird feeling. I think the Lions are going to show up in this game. It's going to be a little bit lower scoring than people think. Tyler Loop, more than 1.5 field goals made. I think Baltimore runs into a little bit of a wall there on that defense. Detroit seemed to find something a little bit against the Bears last week. The Bears, I know that they've been struggling a little bit, but hey, I know everyone decimates the Cowboys defense, but they did it last week. So got to give them some credit there. I think the Lions put up a pretty good effort defensively, forced them to kick field goals.
Question from like your biggest fan in long shots.
What?
Can I ask the question?
Sure.
How do you feel about DeAndre Hopkins more than 20.5 receiving?
I thought about that. I like that. He doesn't get the volume that you would look at for a receiver. That's why I stayed away from it.
He's starting to grow with Lamar, it feels like.
My only way I would stay away from that, and I don't hate the pick. If you want to add that, I like it, is all of his yards came on the one play against Buffalo when he caught that bomb down the sideline.
Right.
He had another one last week. It's very contingent on a deep shot. He only gets a couple a game. So I don't know that I love the prop there, especially against the Lions defense. I feel like it's going to be pretty hungry tonight. But to recap the lineup, Jahmyr Gibbs, more than 85.5 rush and receiving yards. Lamar Jackson, more than 46.5 rushing yards. And then we're going to go Tyler Loop. I think they stall out a little bit in the red zone. He's replacing Justin Tucker, had a pretty good season so far. More than 1.5 field goals made for the Baltimore Ravens.
I like it. Let's make some money. Hashtag Squad IWs, hashtag Faith and Sammy, hashtag Let's Go. That's all from our buddy Tyler. Cool, man. Long shots in the book. Hour number 2 coming up next. We still got a lot to get to, man. Padres have a chance to clinch a postseason berth tonight. NFL Week 3 was a little bit on crack, but it worked out really nicely for me and Sammy. But Monday Night Football coming up tonight. We haven't even talked about that game between the Lions and the Ravens in Baltimore. Woo! Fun hour 2 coming up next. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport is sponsored by Audible. The Padres will start a 3-game set against the Milwaukee Brewers tonight. That game will be at 6:40. Big Monday Night Football game between Detroit and Baltimore. It'll be in Baltimore. Baltimore is currently favored by 4.5, with the point total set at 53.5. It's a major injury news out of the NFL and NBA. Nick Bosa has torn his ACL and is out for the year. And star point guard for the Houston Rockets, Fred VanVleet, has torn his ACL as well and might be missed the entire NBA season, which gets going here in a month. Stuck in traffic, Audible's romance collection will have you falling fast in the slow lane. Satisfy every side of you with best-selling modern rom-coms, the hottest romantasy series. There you go, Fletch. Anticipated new releases. Start listening free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com.
I'm Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long.
Well, don't keep us in suspense any longer. Show us what you got.
What a difference 2 weeks can make.
And Raphael loses the football. Aztecs have it. It's McDougal down the sideline. Touchdown Aztecs.
A shutout at Snapdragon for the Aztecs. The Padres finish up in Chicago with some momentum.
To lead it off. Driven to deep left field. And it's back. Robertson looking up and is gone.
And week 4 of the NFL.
It's down. The kick is on the way. And it is good. Eddie Pinheiro wins it for the 49ers.
Right, pump fakes right. Throws up in for the end zone, and the pass is caught. Tyquan Thornton, touchdown. Kansas City.
Just when you thought you had figured it out.
Kick is on the way. Kick is good. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 3-0. Pittman Jr. inside the 5. Looking for the end zone. He's in. Touchdown INTY.
Takes the snap, looking, scanning, now running right. Gonna throw back in the end zone. DJ Moore. Touchdown Bears.
Can we squeeze it all in?
That's what she said.
Let's find out as we head into the studios of San Diego Sports 760 and into the Fletch Zone.
It's hour number 2 here on San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over. Then we're going to start this hour off with a YouTube comment from our buddy Demi Gunn, who asked if we're still alive in Circa Survivor. Sammy, we have made it to week 4. We've made it to week 4. Demi also asking what teams are dead for us so far. We picked Arizona week 1. We picked Baltimore week 2. We picked Seattle Seahawks yesterday. We had a sweat with Arizona in week 1. That was a scary, scary game. Baltimore and the Seahawks both kind of ran through their opponents. So week 4, who are we looking at, Sammy? We feel confident about 1. We agree on 1. The rest of them, we have a bunch of disagreements.
Texas early 70470. Start your message with team 70470. Start your message with team. Let us know if you got one that you think that we should roll with. Early on, I think Fletch and I both were talking before the show. We like Denver at home over the Bengals. Now, I know the Bengals got slaughtered against the Vikings. I don't see Jake Browning going into Denver. Denver easily could be 3-0. They are 1-2. I think Denver is a better football team than their 1-2 record at home.
And they're at home in prime time.
That's a tough place to play.
You feel good about Denver.
I got a risky one. And text line, tell me how you feel about this. Monday Night Football. There's a doubleheader. Miami at home versus the Jets.
I feel like you are smoking crack out of a crack pipe.
I'm just saying, because we don't like the Lions over the Browns feel easy, but we don't want to burn Detroit because they're playing on Thanksgiving and on Christmas. The Bills over the Saints, that's free. But at the same time, do we really want to burn the Bills? So if you were to take a shot on a Miami and they won and you're burning, we'd have burned Seattle, Arizona, and Miami.
If you take a shot on Miami and they lose and you lose out on the split, eventually is going to be around $3 million a pop. And you burned it on Tua turn the ball over. You burn it on Tua Tagovailoa and a Miami staff who's about to get fired in a couple weeks. You're insane.
We don't have to do it. I'm just saying, if you can't go with the easy pick.
There's no shot I'm taking Miami. At most, we're gonna have to pick 14 teams. At most, that's like the max it's gonna get.
No, it's 18.
It's not gonna go all season long.
You don't know that. Last year it went to the final week.
Even if it is 18, let's say it's 18.
So that's 4 more teams.
Miami is not one of those teams.
That's fine. That's fine. But you have to find some value, because if we burn,
Denver is value.
If we already burned Baltimore and then we burn the Bills through the first 4 weeks, there's no way we're winning.
We're not burning the Bills. We're burning the Broncos. Not Miami. Tyler says they better throw one hell of a party with their listeners if they win it.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, we absolutely will. Not if we pick the Dolphins in week 4. That seems like an insane thing
if we're
to do.
going in the final week and we have a thing, we will buy the entire bar drinks if we win the money.
Probably do a little bit better than that, don't you think?
Well, what's better than buying a free round for the whole bar?
One round? I'm saying like for a full night, maybe.
Okay. We can talk terms.
Yeah. Let's get the money first. But Sammy and I have a 1 in 13,000 chance of becoming millionaires. So, listeners, that's going to come back to you in a good way. I promise you that. All right, let's get to the big 3 of hour number 2 here. Sammy Long takes us through the top stories in the world of sports. It's not all about us becoming millionaires. Guys, relax.
Ben's going to wrap up all his money in a new house. So, I'm going to be the one buying drinks, throwing the party.
I am buying a house in straight cash when we win this.
See, that's such a lame thing to buy your winnings on.
Yeah, never having a mortgage again. So lame. All right, Sammy, let's smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big 3.
All right, where are we going in hour number 2?
The Giants. So, I don't know if you watched last night's game, but
San Francisco or New York?
No, New York. The San Francisco Giants are about to be irrelevant. I guess they did get a win against the Dodgers on Sunday, but still not a very good team. Anyway, the New York Giants, Russell Wilson couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat last night. I don't know if you saw the final drive of the game when they still had a shot against the Chiefs.
Oh, you mean 4th down, throwing the ball away? Seemed like a smart idea to do.
3rd and 4th down, throwing the ball through the uprights. I don't know if Russell Wilson doesn't understand that he can't score points when he throws the ball to the upright. That's only for kickers. But so Brian Dable today at the presser said they are evaluating a quarterback change, which essentially means they're about to make a quarterback change. Would you go with Dart? Would you go with Jameis, or would you stick with Russ?
The boos were loud out at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey last night. Pretty much every time Russ touched the ball late in that game. Now, they have been sort of doing this thing where they bring Jackson Dart in, which is very strange to me. It's like, if you're going to bring him in, leave him in. If you're going to make the switch, make the switch. Stop doing the thing where you just bring him out there for a couple of read option plays. It's very odd to me how they've been using him in close games, by the way. Last night's game wasn't completely out of reach until the 4th quarter. And if Russ played a little better, it could have been a serious game in question. But this kind of teasing the fan base with Jackson Dart a little bit at a time, I'm like, well, if you're ready to put him in the game, just put him in the game all the way. Russell Wilson is obviously not the answer. I feel like Jameis Winston, as of right now, is probably the best quarterback on that staff, which is a crazy thing to say. Jackson Dart obviously has the most upside. We'll see if the Giants and Brian Dable can do something with it. I kind of feel like they're going to go to Jameis before they just go to Dart completely, because the schedule the next few weeks is miserable.
But so you would go to Jameis?
I would go to Jameis. You've seen what you need to see out of Russ. He looked really good against the Cowboys.
Jackson Dart. You did not draft this guy.
Did you just shut me up with a drop?
I put you Pulp Fiction. I didn't say allow me to retort.
I wasn't done.
I was recorded it earlier. I was going to play it at some point. It's embarrassing that Russell Wilson even started this season. I said this before the year. I don't know why. What does Russell Wilson bring you? He's done. He couldn't make it work in Pittsburgh with a damn good roster. I got to give Aaron Rodgers some love. Now, Pittsburgh doesn't look unbelievable because the defense struggled a little bit, but all of a sudden now looks like a competent team. They had all the same guys last year. The entire team was the same. And, adding DK Metcalf.
Steelers forced 5 turnovers yesterday and only scored 21 points.
Right, but Russell Wilson had ample of opportunity with a defense last year that is much better than this year's Steelers defense, and he was dreadful. I don't know what Russell Wilson brings you. I don't know why they even started him in the first place. If you were going to start a veteran because you didn't want to throw Jameis Winston to the Wolves, or throw Jackson Dart to the Wolves, you should have gone with Jameis Winston. It's Jackson Dart time. If Brian Daboll has any interest in saving his job, he should be throwing Jackson Dart out there because you drafted this guy. What, so you can get fired and then have the next guy come in and have the success of Jackson Dart? I mean, you rested your Giants career on him and you're not playing him. I know they got the Eagles in 2 of the next 4 weeks, but you got the Chargers, then you got the Saints, and then the Eagles twice in 3 weeks after that.
And the Broncos and the Niners in the middle of all that as well. That is just great defense after great defense.
The Saints are terrible. And
not a terrible defense with the Saints. Yesterday it was.
You cannot save rookie quarterbacks anymore. Every team in the NFL is competent players. I mean, it's this whole this is not like college where you're trying to get a true freshman quarterback in and you pick some directional school that you're like, all right, he's going to throw 5 touchdowns again so we can get him going. The NFL is not like that. Jackson Dart has played in major programs, played at USC. He played at Ole Miss. He's ready to play they got to make the change. Russell Wilson was embarrassing last night with what he did, and he just literally just stared down Neighbors all night, and then if Neighbors was not open, just tuck it and ran.
Sounds like a Chiefs fan who's glad the Chiefs finally got a win. All right, what's next?
I am glad the Chiefs finally got a win. Do you hear the saltiness because of Nick Bosa today?
I'm fine.
We'll get into that later. Jerry Jones. So the big rematch this week, Cowboys, Packers happening. Obviously, Micah Parsons went to Green Bay. Jerry Jones said yesterday, and this is a real quote, if we can trade the Packers picks for a really special player, we will do it.
Dude, you traded away a really special player to get those picks. Jerry Jones, he says things, I think, purposely trying to piss people off, and that's fine if that's his strategy, but it might be time to just shut up, dude, because you're going to see next week when the Dallas Cowboys play against the Green Bay Packers. It's in prime time, right, Sammy? That's the Sunday night game next week. Game. This is going to look real bad for Jerry, especially with the way that Dallas's defense has been playing, especially when the Packers come in and Jordan Love, who really struggled against the Cleveland Browns last week or this week, goes in there and drops 300 yards on you for 3 touchdowns, and Micah Parsons runs away with a sack of Dak Prescott. It's going to look really bad for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. I can't believe that's a real quote. You mean like the player you traded away?
Well, that's the whole point of it. It just, Jerry says things, I guess, piss people off, I guess, to stroke his own ego. I mean, the whole point of the fact that you were trading Micah Parsons is you could have went to the media and said, obviously, we're giving away a generational type player, a Hall of Fame type player.
But the money's not going to work out. We need to start building for the future.
So why would you package those picks to get a star now who then you're going to have to pay and won't be as good as Micah Parsons? Because the Green Bay Packers, despite the loss of the Browns, will be picking at the end of the first round. So this is not a team where you're like, you have the Titans first round pick or you have the Saints first round pick and you're looking at a legit top 5 pick in the draft where you're like, wow, we have some serious draft capital. Yeah, they have draft capital, but that was the whole thing of that. Even though Micah Parsons is unreal, the Dallas defense last year wasn't good because it was just him and then Trayvon Diggs got hurt and they didn't have a supporting cast. Trading these picks for a star player makes no sense. You're supposed to build from the ground up. You're supposed to kind of do a grassroots thing for the entire defense. I don't know if Jerry's just trying to instigate stuff, but it's like I think Jerry just wants to give the media quotes because there's no way he thinks that is a good quote to say after your team just got smacked 38 points by the Bears on defense with the superstar you traded to a Bears team that people thought is Caleb Williams a bust heading into that game.
The NFL fan, I think, has gotten a lot smarter over the years. We're all much more in tune with player statistics and trends and different players and their level of greatness over other players. And it feels like Jerry still talks to us as if the only way we understand football is by watching a game. You know what I mean? He doesn't talk to us like, no, we're also people who are doing the work on the back end to try to feel like what's going to be best for our fantasy team. And Jerry sort of talks to us like we're little kids. And I sort of hate that more than anything. You got one more, Sammy?
All right, some massive injuries in the NFL. Nick Bosa tears his ACL. CeeDee's got a high ankle sprain. He's out 3 to 4 weeks, so he will end up coming back. James Conner is out for the season. Najee Harris is out for the season. What injury is the most impactful to that team?
The James Conner injury sucks. When I saw that yesterday, it honestly made me feel really bad for him. That dude works his ass off, and to see his leg get totally moved sideways like that was rough to see. The Najee Harris one, while it is impactful, Omarion Hampton looks really, really good, and they can make a trade. The Chargers are one team, by the way, I've seen connected to Alvin Kamara for a potential Saints trade, and that would be huge for the Chargers, obviously. How can it not be the Nick Bosa one? I'm trying to take the fandom out of this. Nick Bosa is the best player on the 49ers, has been for years. Nick Bosa has been healthy the last couple of years when the rest of the team is completely falling apart health-wise. Nick Bosa literally won week 1 for the 49ers with that sack of Sam Darnold at the last second, the strip sack. Nick Bosa not on the team, Super Bowl chances go bye-bye. They can absorb some injuries. You can't absorb Nick Bosa.
Nick Bosa obviously is brutal. He's a game wrecker, one of the best pass rushers in the league when he's healthy. The Najee Harris one,
he's being used as a change of pace back for the Chargers.
Right, they got Hampton, so it's not the end of the world for them. Now, I do think the accumulation of injuries on the offensive line with the Najee was
huge.
a nice complementary to Hampton because he's kind of more of a bruising back, where Hampton's your change of pace, kind of your speed back and out of the backfield. So I do think it hurts, but I do think in running backs, you can go get a running back at a deadline. That's not even the name of an Alvin Kamara.
They might have one on their roster that's going to step into that role just fine.
Tank Bigsby just went to the Eagles for a 4th-round pick, and Tank Bigsby's not some superstar, but he's a solid player. I think the Chargers will be just fine without that. And James Conner, that sucks. That guy's obviously fought through so much, and he's a fantastic player. But yeah, the Nick Bosa injury, that just sucks because that's the core tenets of the Niners, that you have Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, you have elite playmaker at every level, and then you take one away on the defensive line, and we're going to see with the rookie Mykel Williams, Bryce Huff, guys like that, if they could step up and make that pass rush. But you wonder how much of their production was coming because Nick Bosa was on the other side.
A lot of it. And unfortunately, the Niners schedule is super soft, so they're not going to get a good draft pick next year anyways. And I could bitch and moan and bellyache all I want, but it's not going to change anything. Nick Bosa out for the year. So my entire football season now is surrounded upon Circa Survivor. Let's keep that thing going. All right, quick break here. On the other side, let's get into the Padres, who can clinch a postseason spot tonight. Will champagne be popping down at Petco Park? Let's talk about it next. San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher and Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. You heard that big voice guy introduction for SDFC week here. They got their final home match of the season coming up this Saturday. You'll hear it here on San Diego Sports 760, as well as SDFC Midweek Live, which is happening this Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Hear from the head coach, Mikey Varis, as well as interviews with players and coaches. Find out the latest club and MLS information. SDFC Midweek Live, Wednesday at 6, right here on your home for SDFC, San Diego Sports 760. On this show this week, we're going to have Tom Penn, the CEO of SDFC. We're going to have Darren Smith, one of the broadcast team with him and Adrian Garcia Marquez. We'll also have Adrian Garcia Marquez on this week, Sammy. We are loaded up, getting ready for the final home match of the season.
Hell yeah, man. It's going to be great. I'm stoked that, everyone's going to be showing out for that home game, and can't wait to see. I mean, they've done it all year, so we kind of started out the expectations as, hey, it's cool that San Diego's got an MLS team, to now see if they can go win this thing. So maybe we'll have some get into who goes farther, SDFC or the Padres next week.
Perhaps we could do that. Well, SDFC's had a clinched playoff spot for like a month now, it feels like. San Diego Padres, they have a shot to clinch their playoff spot tonight. They're going to be facing off with the Milwaukee Brewers at Petco Park. I'm sure it's going to be a sellout like most games have been this year. And this one feels like a big one because it's Nick Pivetta. It's Freddie Peralta, who's been the ace all season for the Brewers. He's been very, very good. They actually have near identical numbers when it comes to ERA, WHIP. Their record is even pretty similar so far this year between Pivetta and Peralta. So we'll see how this one goes down. It's being kind of pitched as a pitcher's duel tonight, but can the Padres offense, who has just been so up and down this year, outside of the 2 14-3 stretches of the season, the Padres offense really has not been very good. Can the Padres offense that had a little bit of life this weekend with Fernando Tatis Jr. feeling like he's getting that power back, can they do some damage tonight on Freddie Peralta, who has been very, very good this year?
I'm very excited. And looking at, so ESPN did an article, MLB playoff rotation tiers. So this is just looking at the starting pitching staff. So I'll just read this real quick and get everyone's reaction. Dodgers are number 1, Phillies 2, Mariners 3. That's the tier 1. Tier 2 is Detroit at 4, Milwaukee 5. Tier 3, Reds at 6, Astros 7. The Padres are at 8. So they're above the Red Sox at 9, the Cubs at 10, the Yankees at 11, and then the Blue Jays at 12, Mets at 13, Guardians 14, and that's it. So I'm kind of surprised the Padres are 8 because you feel like on name brand value, the Padres are kind of high. People know these guys. Dylan Cease is a widely known commodity in Major League Baseball. Yu Darvish obviously has been getting it done for a long time now. And then the diehard MLB baseball heads know that Nick Pivetta has kind of come, not out of nowhere. He played for the Red Sox for years, but has really taken his game to another level. I'm just so curious with how will Mike Schilt change this starting rotation in the playoffs? Because Kevin Acee brought up a thing on our show, which I think was very true, in that the one thing the Padres do have going for them that you don't have in the regular season is someone will always be warming in the bullpen for when guys get in trouble. Because we've seen this Padre team have Dylan Cease, Yu Darvish have good 3 to 4 innings, and then it just absolutely unravels in the 4th, the 5th, the 6th if they're able to get there. And they usually don't have bullpens warming because you don't want to tire out your entire bullpen with the playoffs ahead. Now in the postseason that would be different. They're not going to let leads get way out of whack. But I just wonder if this number 2 spot really is up for grabs this week, because Michael King does well against the White Sox, which is great, but it is the White Sox. Cease really struggles. Kevin Acee seemed to say on our show that Darvish would be that 3rd starter. Kind of seems to surprise some people. Maybe he has a shot to be the 2. I'm just curious. It feels like a wide open competition for that 2 spot behind Pivetta.
It really does. We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks here. I think one fascinating storyline for Padre fans to watch is tonight the return of Xander Bogaerts. It's being reported that it might be. Kevin Acee reporting that he's expected to be with the club today, and we'll see if Bogaerts gets the start tonight. Remember, he was really heating up before he went down with that injury. And in the meantime, the Padres lineup has just been sort of in flux the whole time. Bogaerts coming back. Who do you move out? Because O'Hearn's been playing some really, really good baseball, especially over the last week or so. Gavin Sheets has slowed down a little bit. I'm curious to see the tweaking of the lineup with Xander's return.
You think it'd be Sheets, right? Because you're not going to take...
Right. I would say so, yes. But Gavin Sheets has also been maybe the Padres' best hitter all year.
Definitely the most, you could say, most consistent for a guy that is not getting paid.
Right. Everyone else has had those stretches of a month, it feels like, where they've been terrible. Gavin Sheets really hasn't. The worst he did was like in the middle of paternity leave when he just had a kid. Now, Gavin Sheets has been down over the last 2 or 3 weeks. But do you trust Gavin Sheets in the postseason? I personally would, and he's been part of the reason to get you there. Now, also, Xander Bogaerts, if he comes out and is terrible over the next 6 games, do you feel okay about having him in the postseason lineup? There's a lot of questions with him coming back.
That's why this week is like, let's just say, hopefully the Padres clinch tonight. There's popping bottles. They're going to be in the playoffs.
It feels like a tryout.
It does feel like, and let's just say the Dodgers run away with the division a little bit, and that's not in play. And let's say the Cubs win a few games and they're locked in the 5 seed. I think, yes, I would rest the bullpen. I think the bullpen is a spot that they've been heavily used all year. I don't care if you were to drop a game later this week. I think having a healthy bullpen is way more important than trying to boost your record here. But there's so many open questions with, right, how is Bogaerts going to play? Who's going to the bench? Is it O'Hearn? Is it Sheets? Who's the number 2 starter? Who's the number 3 starter for the Padres? Hell, are they going to go to a damn bullpen game? Are you going to have an opener? Like, these really do feel like a tryouts to last week because there's so many unanswered questions with this team, and they got 2 series to figure it out before there could be no more mistakes.
Padres, man, tonight's going to be fun. We'll see if they're popping bottles tonight. I certainly hope so. And then technically that 4 seed is still in play if Chicago has a bad week. All right, take a quick break here. On the other side, let's go back to the NFL. We got a text here that's very, very funny from the 858. You'll hear that. And we'll talk about tonight's matchup between the Detroit Lions at the Baltimore Ravens coming up next. It's San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey, it's Fletch for Prize Picks. Download the app today. When you do, use promo code Fletch, FLETCH, and you're going to get $50 in bonus lineups after you play your first $5 lineup on Prize Picks. It is good to be right. In fact, my brother was sending me screenshots yesterday. He was on fire with the Sunday slate of football games. Football's here. Prize Picks and football, they just go together. It's great. And I talk about the promotions all the time, but the Taco Tuesdays and the Flex Fridays just keep you coming back for more. Prize Picks is the best spot here in California to get real money sports action. You can do that within 60 seconds. It's that fast to make a lineup. Like Sammy made a lineup a little bit earlier today. It goes a little something like this for tonight's game. Lamar Jackson, more than 46.5 rushing yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, more than 88.5 rushing plus receiving yards. And Tyler Loop, more than 1.5 field goals made tonight. And I added in DeAndre Hopkins, more than 20.5 receiving yards. That took about 10 seconds to make. You can do the same thing on Prize Picks. If you feel good about a player, you go more than or less than on their stat projections, and boom, you've got action. Use promo code Fletch when you download the app. $50 in lineups immediately after playing your first $5 lineup. And on Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
The sport's sponsored by Farm Safe 811. Padres back tonight against the Milwaukee Brewers, who currently have the best record in the NL and have clinched a bye in the NL. They have 95 wins. Nick Pivetta will be on the mound tonight for the Pods, while Freddie Peralta will be going for the Brewers. In the big Monday Night Football matchup, Lions heading to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. The Ravens are currently 4.5-point favorites with the point total set in the low 50s. Farm Safe 811 starts with you. Always call 811 and wait for any underground lines to be marked. Always keep safety in the back of your mind. Just stay humble. For more information, go to farmsafe811.org.
San Diego Sports 760, Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. 858, the Jokester says, go with Miami this week, guys, for Circa. It's a win for you, Sammy, because if they win, you guys survive. If they lose, Kansas City gets Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Fletch, how about the Super Bowl MVP, Mac Jones? Purdy who? Look, very grateful for the work that Mac Jones has done. Very, very grateful for that 2-minute drive. However, he also almost lost the game yesterday. He almost lost the game the week before. Happy that Mac Jones has done what he's done. Feel much better once Purdy comes back. 858, Sammy, what do you think about over on both pitchers at 3.5 strikeouts for the Padres game tonight, plus King Henry anytime touchdown?
I think King Henry is very fair. He is always, anytime the Ravens get in the red zone, that's it's actually a green goblin on Price Picks. That's what they're telling you, that it's a better than, they're a minus favorite. This was in Vegas. I believe he's like minus 125 anytime touchdown. So they believe it's going to happen. I like that. I also like the over on strikeouts for both, because I think this is going to have a little bit of a playoff feel tonight, and you're not going to have as much of balls flying all out of the over the yard. Freddie Peralta is a fantastic pitcher. They're still trying to get that number 1 seed, and then you got Nick Pivetta, who is carrying everything for this Padres team. He's the one pitcher you look at has been consistent throughout. I think Pivetta wants to show that he is the surefire number 1 starter, not like anyone else is challenging him on the staff, though.
That's what we call bonus shots here on San Diego Sports 760.
Bonus shots.
You got long shots at 12:45. That was bonus shots at 1:35. I like that a lot. All right, tonight's NFL Monday Night Football game, the cap on the week, is the Lions at the Ravens. Ravens favored by -4.5. That's a big spread for a primetime Monday game. A huge matchup between the class of the NFC and the class of the AFC. Lions, Ravens in Baltimore. We just talked about King Henry. The 1.5 touchdown is usually the line in Vegas for Derrick Henry, and I feel like it's going to be just like that tonight. But I think tonight is more about the Lions than it is about the Ravens. We know what the Ravens are going to do. They are consistently great. They have a very, very good defense. And with Lamar Jackson running your offense, you are capable of putting up 40-plus points any given night because he is that special of an athlete. But with the Lions, we've seen a stinker from them in week 1, and we saw a really, really great performance last week in week 2. Which Lions team are we going to get? Were we more right that they were the team that they were against the Packers? Or is it the team that we saw a week ago that put up, 40-something points? How many did they score last
52.
week? 52 points. Like, the Lions are also capable of that with ridiculous skill position players like Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jared Goff has been good enough as the Lions quarterback to just be the ultimate distributor. I think we actually have a great game tonight, Sammy. I feel like 4.5 is too big a number.
I do. I feel like this is a little bit of an overreaction, and history would tell you that Lamar is going to blow these guys out. He's 24-4 when he plays the NFC, and a lot of that is because Lamar is such a unique player. He's a fantastic player. He is obviously probably the best athlete in the NFL, and has extremely really improved his accuracy ever since he was a rookie in the NFL. There's a lot on the line for both teams tonight. If you think about, like, I saw them talking earlier on one of the morning shows, like, who has more pressure to win in the playoffs? Because if you think about it, like, everyone talks about Lamar now. That's the guy, because they can't get past Mahomes, and they have to get to a Super Bowl. It's funny on the other side, though. You look at Detroit, and Detroit's got everything. Detroit's got if you look at that roster top to bottom, they're one of the most complete rosters in the entire NFL. And you wonder how many, and I'm a big Jared Goff fan. It's cool seeing the whole career resurrection after the Rams kind of just cast him aside. Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, that whole thing about how they were vacationing together. They learned about the deal and just kind of shipped Goff out of town. But both of these guys have not really won in the postseason recently. You could say that obviously Goff got to a Super Bowl when he was with the Rams, but both of these teams, like, I'm very curious going forward. And then looking at tonight's game, the Lions got blasted by this team 2 years ago. They lost by like 40. I think the Lions going to take this thing personally. I don't know if they win the game, but 4.5 to what you said, Fletch, does feel like a little bit of a big number. And I wouldn't be surprised if the defenses come to play tonight. Everyone's talking about the high-powered offenses. There's tons of fantasy players in this game on both sides. The defenses are pretty underrated for both and just solid core defenses. I think we're going to see a lower scoring game than people expect.
And superstars on both sides of the defenses. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson has elevated into a legit superstar. You felt horrible for the Lions last year with him getting hurt. It's funny you mention all that about the Lions and the pressure to win in the postseason. I kind of feel like they're a lot like the Padres just in the NFL. Lions have never won a Super Bowl. In fact, they've never even been to a Super Bowl. But you look at the Lions and it's like for years, they just couldn't even be relevant. They were the lovable losers. They were the team that was on Thanksgiving every year that gave your uncle time for a nice nap in the recliner.
It's very true.
Well, now the Lions have a roster. They got a head coach that everyone's excited about in Dan Campbell. They got a quarterback who was in the damn MVP conversation for a lot of last year. And it's like Detroit was just happy that they're back in the national conversation, back in the postseason. Now expectations need to be raised for the Detroit Lions.
Because that loss to the Niners 2 years ago, people didn't crush them for that, despite them blowing a crazy lead because they hadn't won a playoff game in forever.
And Brock Purdy just had another worldly performance in the second half.
Okay.
Crazy.
Okay. I'm going to let you have that one because Nick Bosa got hurt today.
Shut up.
Beating the Rams, beating the Bucs, you go, wow, this team is it next year. And then last year, they obviously had massive injuries. That defense was shredded. The entire front seven was hurt. But you did let a rookie quarterback come in there in your house as the number 1 seed, and you were 10-point favorites and light you up. I mean, they absolutely took them to task. So this is the kind of last year. You're already paying Amon-Ra. Jamison Williams is coming up. Aiden Hutchinson's got his bag. I mean, you're going to have to pay these guys, and that's why people were so high on the Lions is that all these dudes were young. Gibbs wasn't getting paid a ton. Amon-Ra was getting paid a ton. Jamison Williams. This does feel like a year, especially with the Eagles, who are still an elite team, but don't look like quite that Eagles team that last year that just literally didn't have a flaw. Both teams, like, if they don't get to a Super Bowl this year, we're having major questions, not about, obviously the Ravens aren't flipping Lamar from the quarterback spot. Lamar is one of the most electric players in the game, but both these teams have come up short in the postseason. So it's nice that we get a little matchup tonight to see if the Lions can take the show on the road, because what you said, I mean, it's easy to, Chicago's defense is terrible. I don't really fault them for the Packers because the Packers were jacked up. They got Micah Parsons. It's at home, division rival. I don't really fault them for how bad they looked in that game.
There's some crazy number also about Lambeau week 1. Like the Packers don't lose in week 1 at home.
They don't. And then on the Baltimore side, you destroy a Browns team. You should have beat Buffalo, but you didn't. You blow that game in the fourth quarter. So all credit to Buffalo, but you looked excellent in that. How do you respond? Because this is your next big opponent that on the schedule that you look at. You got the Chiefs next week. Like, we're going to see how this happens. This is a big Monday Night Football game.
Yeah, we'll make our official picks coming up in just a little bit, but let's get some more texts in. 484 Fletch and I are in the 3-0 club up on our tippy toes. Go Birds and Niners. Chiefs finally got a win. Good job, Sammy. I'm going to the Padres game tonight. My neighbor Kaya is singing the national anthem. Give her a shout out from Handyman Matt.
Kaya.
How about that? Is Kaya single? Sammy is looking.
Shout out to Kaya.
How about that? Say it slower, Sammy.
Hold on. I got to get my drop here. Hold on. Where's my...
Hola, mommy.
All right, 619.
That might not have been the shout out.
Yeah, you guys have said it a couple times today that Michael King looked good this weekend. Admittedly, I had it on a secondary TV, but it looked like he worked pretty hard this weekend, stranding a lot of runners left on base from SoCal Jayhawk. That is true, SoCal Jayhawk. Michael King, he went 5 scoreless, which is a far cry from what he did a week ago, where he gave up a career high 8 runs. So good might not be the right word. I mean, he got through the game scoreless, so that's good.
They got a double play in the first where there was some traffic.
He had to work out of a lot of jams, but it was just much, much better, should we say, than his previous performance. And then the 484 coming back saying, P.S. I prefer roasting Fletch over Sammy, but the 49ers aren't giving me the ammo to do so far this year. Well, they just gave it to you. Nick Bosa out for season. I feel like the Niners are pretty much toast, and that sucks. It really does. I'm not all right.
It's a tough day. I mean, I don't wish for injuries. I wish Nick Bosa was playing because I don't like when the Niners are injured. So now we're going to hear these excuses. I was just waiting for.
We'll see if the Chiefs can even make the postseason 1 and 2. All right, take a quick break here.
They'll make the postseason. I promise you.
Official picks for tonight's game coming up next. It is San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760 for a final time here. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2:00. John and Jim will take over then. 858, rough weekend for your boy. I'm a Raiders fan, about to lose in both fantasy leagues this week. Raiders look absolutely clueless. The line on both sides of the ball are almost unwatchable. Made Marcus Mariota look like a Hall of Famer. My little sister's flag football team could beat this Raiders offense. I want the Raiders to be good. They're not. They're terrible, man. It is rough watching. I thought Pete Carroll would have this thing cooking. Ashton Janty still isn't getting the opportunity I would like him to get.
They don't give him the ball. And then Geno, I don't know what happened to Geno.
Geno's washed.
Like, if we're looking next year, like I was like thinking about this on the way in. Tua's done, right? So Miami's gonna be looking for a new quarterback.
Unless he has like a Bryce Young second half.
Could happen, but
like they paid Tua. They're out not till the end of next season in the contract. So they're probably
you would think
stuck.
if Miami is awful with this quarterback class, which is ironic. We thought the quarterback class was going to be great. Lenora Sellers has been the only guy, him and John Mateer. And John Mateer, I wonder if he has elite NFL upside.
Right, because Klubnik's been a disaster this year. All of Clemson has been a disaster this year.
Klubnik's awful. In Arch Manning, we'll see. He's got the tools, but he hasn't lived up to it yet.
You see what he did this weekend? The flex over the dude in the end zone. What are we doing,
I'm
Arch?
like, dude, you've beaten Sam Houston State.
Relax one time. You're going to flex on a dude? That was crazy.
First off, we're going to see what's going to happen because they're going to play the college football schedule this week is insane on Saturday. It's like fantastic. I believe they're playing Florida this week, or maybe it's next. And that's his next real test. We'll see. Because even though Florida isn't great, Florida in the swamp, that's a tough place to play. But like you're looking at Geno Smith probably out. That was a 2-year contract. Pete's not going to hold his entire, regime as the Raiders to Geno Smith. So the Raiders are looking for a quarterback. You got Miami's looking for a quarterback. The Jets, I mean, Justin Fields looked good in his first week, terrible in his second. He gets hurt. Jets probably looking for a quarterback. Hell, Bryce Young, we thought heading into last week was like, oh, this is the Bryce Young we knew before. And then he looked really good. So there might be a lot of quarterback needy teams.
Steelers
be looking for a quarterback.
Cowboys with all those picks that they got, maybe package some up, jump to the front.
That's interesting because if you're Dallas,
you just got rid of Micah. You might as well get rid of Dak too. Now you got to start making some moves to get Young.
Like Tua would be a backup quarterback somewhere. Now Dak would command a lot. Like a team. Like if I was the Jets, I would trade for Dak Prescott. Or if I'm the Steelers and you say give me Dak Prescott right now, like that would be interesting because he can win a lot of games. But I'm curious how many teams that we're going to see as they kind of start dropping off are going to be looking. And are any of these teams that have these second-year quarterbacks that have high expectations? Like Bo Nix does not look like everyone thought he was going to be. Drake May hasn't looked like that. Michael Penix, I was high on him, but he did certainly not look good yesterday.
Oof, I saw a Michael Penix stat, and they looked terrible yesterday. Falcons couldn't do anything. But I saw a Michael Penix stat that blew my mind. Michael Penix in his career, now it's not a huge sample size, has not won a game when the opponent team has scored more than 7 points.
Like that can't happen.
Michael Penix is 0-4 against teams that he's playing against who score more than 7 points.
Well, and then I'm like Michael Penix. The knock on him was that he was older when he came out of the draft.
They couldn't score yesterday.
25, man. And you look at that game and you go, they have weapons. Like
if Bijan Robinson has like 110 yards combined and you can't score a point,
they can't.
Pitiful.
They can't get Drake London the ball. You signed Darnell Mooney, who's a decent receiver. He had a decent career in Chicago with terrible quarterbacks. It's just I'm curious how many second-year quarterbacks we're looking at next year, and if these teams continue to lose, what they do at the top of the draft.
All right, before we get out of here today, I do want to give some more love to the San Diego State Aztecs, who, if you missed anything that went down Saturday night in Mission Valley at Snapdragon Stadium, that was one of the more exciting Aztec games against a power opponent I've seen in a long time. They take down Cal in front of the 2015 team with Donnell Pumphrey and Christian Chapman and Rocky Long in attendance. Very, very cool to see San Diego State come out and respond that way after getting, quite frankly, embarrassed up in Washington State. Kind of puts the entire season you're looking forward at into a different point of view. Because Cal, they had this freshman quarterback who had been lighting everything up, was making national news all over the place. JKS is what he goes by. His real name is damn near impossible to pronounce. Sangatululele, I believe I got that right. But Cal comes in and just absolutely gets lambasted by the San Diego State Aztecs. Was great to see on a night where Jordan Napier gets 154 yards receiving. Lucky Sutton got himself a touchdown. The defense scores 2 touchdowns. Dwayne McDougal, who I actually had on after the show, was hilarious talking about the fact that he's the guy who dropped the interception in the first half and then gets the scoop and score touchdown in the second half. Really good to see the Aztecs take care of business. You can catch the Sean Lewis Coaches Show coming up this Thursday at 6 o'clock right here on San Diego Sports 760. John Schaefer, Rich Ormberger will sit down with the head coach to talk about the team's big win versus Cal and preview Saturday's game at Northern Illinois, which kicks off at 12:30 local time, by the way. Sean Lewis Coaches Show every Thursday at 6 right here on your home for the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. All right, Sammy Long, let's get the spread and the over-under for tonight's game. What are they at?
All right, let me get the spread. As of right now, was 4.5 in favor of Baltimore.
Yes,
I'm trying to get what it opened at, but I believe it stayed the same. It opened at Baltimore opened as 5.5 point favorites. It's been bet down to 4.5, and the over under opened at 52.5. It is now at 53.5. So, Fletch, where are you leaning on the spread? Give us a score and over under on the total.
Give me the Detroit Lions against the spread. I think they lose, but I think they cover. So maybe a 3-point game. Let's go 21-24. Lions lose to the Ravens in Baltimore, which would mean under.
24 plus 21. we haven't been in math class.
That's like 45, Sammy.
It's like 45. It's like 45. Hey, shout out to all my San Diego State math classes.
Oh, Sammy.
Rancho Bernardo High School prepared us very well. Where are you going? I keep going back and forth. I think this is going to be a close game. If I was betting this, if I'm in Vegas, I'm taking the first half spread on Detroit. I mean,
that wasn't even an option.
Hold on. I'm getting to my pick. I'm taking the first half spread on Detroit. I'm gonna go Baltimore 24, Lions 17.
Ooh,
Baltimore 24, Lions 17. I think they get it done. I think this is a really tight game, and they pull away at the end there. But I do think this is a pretty low scoring game in the first half. I do not see a bunch of points everywhere. This is it's a sucker bet to go the over.
Hate to throw this out there, but your final score contradicts your long shots.
I was just about to say that
because that means one field goal score.
27-17.
There you go.
Ravens.
There you go. That helps out. That's 2 field goals.
Padres getting it done tonight?
I think so. I think they're popping champagne tonight. Nick Pivetta shoves. He goes 6 scoreless. Bullpen takes care of business. Fernando Tatis Jr. homers. You can put all those into a lineup somewhere.
Yeah, I think this is Pivetta's night. He's got to show up, show out. He is the ace for the staff, and this is a big night. This is against a legit competition, a big team in the Milwaukee Brewers. Go get it done and pop some bottles, and then down there in Petco tonight.
Thank you, everybody who was on YouTube today. Thank you, everybody who was on the text line, on the stream, everywhere. We appreciate you all. John and Jim are coming up next. Sammy, nice work. We'll see you tomorrow.